We've got the top 10 must-adds for this week in fantasy basketball coming up next on Beat the Odds. Don't go anywhere. Hello, sports fans, and welcome back to another episode of Beat the Odds. We're going to take a look at the top 10 must-adds for Week 6 in fantasy basketball. If you're a fan of this type of content, be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you'll be notified whenever we drop an episode. And if you think that there's a player who deserves to be on this list, please leave a comment down below and let me know who it is. As a reminder, everybody who is on this list should be available in roughly 40% of leagues or more. This episode is brought to you by our friends at Thrive Fantasy. If you're a fan of fantasy sports, check these guys out. If you use the promo code BEATTHEODDS, you get 100% first deposit match up to $250. And if you bid on James Harden tonight's match and he scores a point, then you win. Let's dive into some questions here. We have Ali Jamani, 9645, wondering if he should be picking up Mays and dropping either Horford or Hardaway. With Hardaway, you're going to be getting 17.9 points over the last 2 weeks, 3.6 rebounds, 1.6 assists. He is a volume shooter, of course, off the bench. He's going to get plenty of looks alongside either Luka or Kyrie, and of course, he's going to be there at the end of the game there as well. But he really is only useful if his field goal percentage stays north of 40. Now, moving along here with Al Horford, you'll see his stats here at 5.8 points per game, 6.2 rebounds, 2.2 assists. He's entering the twilight of his career. He's still capable of a 3 per game and a block per game, and he's a direct handcuffs to the starting lineup. But if I were to choose either one of these to drop Mays, I probably would drop Mays for Al Horford. All right, let's jump right into our top 10 list. Jaime Jaquez Jr. leads us off, 23% owned, 27 minutes per game over the last 2 weeks, 12.8 points, 4 rebounds, 2.3 assists, 1 3, 1.3 steals, 0.2 blocks, 1 turnover, on 56% shooting from the field and 88% from the line. In the last 4 games, which were all Miami victories, Jaquez has averaged just about 34 minutes per game. He's quickly turning into an efficient scorer, and he's starting to carve out a role in the Miami offense. I see Jaquez having a few weeks of heavy usage until Hero returns, and if he continues at this pace, Miami will have some very interesting choices as to who to be giving minutes to once everybody is healthy. Let's go to number 9. We have Killian Hayes, 50% owned, played 32 minutes over his last 2 weeks, 13.7 points, 3.9 rebounds, 5.6 assists, 1.4 threes, 0.9 steals, 0.6 blocks, 0.6 turnovers, on 47% shooting from the field and 82% from the line. Now, Tyrese Maxey and Scotty Barnes are receiving all the accolades for the most improved player, so much so that Hayes is really flying under the radar. He has always posted solid defensive numbers, but his field goal percentage and his turnovers were always his downfall. His shooting line these last 2 weeks is very encouraging, and he's turning the ball over less than 1 time per game for the season. To number 8 we go. We have Skylar Mays, 49% owned. Played 27 minutes per game over the last 2 weeks, scored 11.3 points, 2.3 rebounds, 6.7 assists, 0.7 threes, 1 steal, 0.3 blocks, and 1.5 turnovers, on 41% shooting from the field and 91% from the line. Mays has recently had a 3-game stretch where he averaged 11 assists per game against just 2 turnovers. He's capable of running the Portland offense until the backcourt gets healthy. He's also averaging 33 points over the last 33 minutes per game over the last 4 games, showing that Portland doesn't really have a whole lot of options behind him. Now, I expect Mays to be in the mix for minutes, of course, once Brogdon and Scoot Henderson return. Let's move over to number 7. We have Bismack Biyombo, 45% owned, 25 minutes per game over the last 2 weeks, averaged 7.5 points, 9.3 rebounds, 1.8 assists, 0.5 steals, 1.2 blocks, and 0.7 turnovers per game, on 55% shooting from the field and 65% from the line. The Bismack attack is back. Biyombo is the rare type of player that could score no points in the game and still be fantasy useful. He will challenge double-digit rebounds and a couple of blocks pretty much nightly. Now, outside of the 27-point blowout against the Lakers on Tuesday, Biyombo has also been seeing roughly 30 minutes per game, making him a solid choice at center. Over to number 6 we go. We have Kelly Oubre Jr., 56% owned. 29 minutes per game over the last 2 weeks, averaging 14.6 points, 5.8 rebounds, 0.6 assists, 1.8 threes, 1 steal, 0.4 blocks, 0.6 turnovers, on 50% shooting from the field and 62% shooting from the line. Oubre is targeting a return in roughly 2 weeks, which is great news considering what we thought could have happened here with his accident. All those managers who were quick to drop Oubre are now kind of kicking themselves. Oubre is an auto add. He will be the third or fourth option on a high-scoring 76er squad while picking up a solid amount of steals. If you've got space on your bench to stash him, I would say pick him up. Don't let someone else mistake not profit you here in the long run. Let's go to number 5. We have Bilal Coulibaly, 32% owned, played 27 minutes per game over the last 2 weeks with 10.7 points, 4.6 rebounds, 1.9 assists, 1.9 threes, 1 steal, 0.4 blocks, 0.7 turnovers on 63% shooting from the field and 62% shooting from the line. The arrow is pointing straight up for Coulibaly. He's on a Wizards team destined to be the seller of the league, which means Coulibaly is going to be getting some playing time over the course of the season. He's got a raw skill set as well, but his length and quickness have allowed him to be a disruptor on the defensive end. He's hit a 3 in each game except for 1, so he's capable of being a two-way stud as soon as this year. To number 4 we go. We have Haywood Highsmith, 13% owned. Played 27 minutes per game over the last 2 weeks. 8.3 points, 2.8 rebounds, 1.5 assists, 1.2 threes, 1.5 steals, 1.2 blocks, 0.5 turnovers, 43% shooting from the field, and 78% from the line. Highsmith has been running away with the starting position based on his elite defensive skill set. He's posted 5 steals, 2 blocks, and 2 3-pointers in a close victory at Charlotte earlier this week. If you're looking for a scorer, then Highsmith really isn't your guy. But if you're looking for a really good defensive player here, he's looking more and more like a poor man's Herb Jones, which is a great complementary piece on any squad. To number 3, we have Derek Lively II, 46% owned, played 24 minutes per game over the last 2 weeks. He had 9.4 points, 6.7 rebounds, 0.9 assists, 0.6 steals, 1.1 blocks, 1.0 turnovers, 70% shooting from the field, and 77% shooting from the line. Lively is creating a nice, solid fantasy floor, kind of a low-end double-double threat with 1 block. He's showcased his ability to share the court with Luka and Kyrie, and he's going to be a beneficiary of their playmaking skills all season long. Get in on Lively now, and I would feel that he could pay off as a top 10, maybe 15 center by the end of the year. Let's go to number 2. We have Jalen Suggs, 60% owned, played 29 minutes per game over the last 2 weeks with 12.3 points, 3.1 rebounds, 3.6 assists, 1.6 threes, 2.6 steals, 0.4 blocks, 2.7 turnovers on 38% shooting from the field and 79% from the line. Now, Suggs is truthfully an inefficient shooter who really doesn't secure the ball all that much. That being said, he's done enough to warrant a prominent spot in the Orlando backcourt, and he's also 3rd in the league in steals. That's his specialty, and that's the biggest reason why he's a priority pickup. If he's still available, go get him. And finally, our number 1 guy, Keontae George, 27% owned, 25 minutes per game over the course of the last 2 weeks with 8 points, 2.2 rebounds, 6.3 assists, 1.2 threes, 0.2 steals, 0.2 blocks, 2 turnovers, 36% shooting from the field and 79% from the line. George is the starting point guard for the Utah Jazz, period. He showcased his scoring ability both in the Summer League and by dropping 15 against Portland on Tuesday. He's also averaging 9 assists and 1.7 turnovers over the last 3 games. He's criminally undervalued and should see his ownership skyrocket in the weeks ahead. And that's going to do it here for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it here. If you did, please do leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. But we are going to sign off for now, and I'm going to catch you guys on our next episode.